Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
All right, I think this is the place. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, I'm trying to get some information on the art fair.
Whoa! Like, nobody said that life was fair, man.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I said the art fair, not life, the art fair.
Whoa, man! Like, take it down a notch, bro. Like, art imitates life, bruh. So, by definition, art is then not fair.
I mean, I guess you have a point. But anyway, can you help me with...
Gotta run, bro. Can't talk now. Take it easy, bro.
Oh, man. I guess I'm not going to do this fair.
You know, the irony is, that kid didn't even work here.
Oh, wow. Shouldn't really do that. I'm having some problems with my voice. But you know what? Doing all these voices really keeps me going. It kind of keeps the podcast fresh, for me at least. I hope you like it. If you don't, unfortunately, I'm probably going to keep doing them. You might have guessed by the intro, we're going to talk really quickly about art fairs. Are they worth it? Are they worth anything? Are they worth your time? Are they worth your money? Are they worth the, exposure or lack thereof? Are they worth anything? We're going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm just going to give you my perspective, not the perspective, but I'm going to give you my perspective on art fairs. So are they worth it? The short answer is it all depends. It depends on what you're going for. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It depends on what your budget is. It depends on what your mindset is. There are a lot of art fairs out there. There's the Affordable Art Fair. There's the other art fair. There's the LA Art Show. There's the Beverly Hills Art Show. There's Art Basel. There's a bunch of them. I could name them forever. But, the thing is most of them are pretty darned expensive. And that's just the first thing to consider. I think a booth at the other art fair, for example, which is the Saatchi one, I think it goes from like $1,800 all the way up to about $4,000, depending on how much space you're using. So, that's not chump change, right? That's quite a bit of money. Now, I know people who've gone to the other art fair and killed it and like made a lot of money and have, sold a bunch of work and made a lot of connections. They made a lot of collectors. But, you just have to go into it knowing that first and foremost, you're going to have to sell X amount of work to break even, right? And then some of these, I believe, take, I don't know about all of them, but some of these take a little bit of a commission too. Some of them don't. You're going to have to factor that in as well. So you're going to have to basically, let's say you're just doing middle of the road, you're doing like $2,500. Okay, you're going to have to sell and net $2,500 just to break even. Now, that could be worth it for you if you are making a connection or making a collector off of that who's going to come back and buy more work. So you have to think about the long game a little bit too. It could be worth it. You might make a bunch of collectors who come back and buy more work, which turns into more sales down the road. That could be worth it. You could meet somebody there. You could meet a gallery owner. You could meet a different collector who doesn't buy then, but who later on comes by and buys your work on your website or at another show or whatever. You can meet other artists who want to collaborate on stuff. You could just meet people and have a good time. So those are all things you have to really think about. It can be a great networking opportunity. Now, there are some art fairs that aren't that way. Like maybe you don't talk to anybody, it's a bust, you don't have a lot of collectors come by, you're kind of sitting in a weird location in the fair, and you don't get a lot of walk by, and you don't get to spend a lot of time talking to people about your work, or other artists for that matter. Or maybe some of the artists around you are kind of cold and don't want to talk to you. That could happen. It could also be the other way. You could make great friends, you could make great collectors, you could make ins with the people that are putting on the fair, like Saatchi, for example, or whoever's putting on the fair. Now, those aren't the only costs to consider. It's also time is a cost, right? Time and energy are a cost. You might have to travel to get to this art fair. Like I hung out with Vinton Whelan when he came down here for the other art fair last time. And, he had to travel from Germany and he had to ship all of his work from Germany. So on top of the booth cost and having to basically break even by selling a certain amount of work, you also have to make up for the airfare. You have to make up for your whatever. You don't have to get a per diem typically because you're not really working for anybody. So you have to, make up for the food you buy when you're there, or the shopping, or the hotel you're staying at. Maybe you're staying at a friend's house, that's fine. But maybe you're paying them a little bit, or maybe you're spending money on food at least. You're going to have to pay for that. So the airfare, the shipping fees, maybe the insurance on that. Maybe you have a professional company that's handling that. That's going to be pretty pricey. So, it's a lot of money. Now, if you have an endless supply of finances, or you've got somebody bankrolling it, well, then that's fine. That's something that you can just take out of the equation. That's wonderful. Not all of us are that lucky. I've never had that personally. I've always had to kind of, foot the bill on my own thing, and all the energy and all the traveling and handling the work and packaging up the work or loading it in. I've always done all that myself. And I know over time for me, that's been something that's really been hard on the body. So you have to factor in all those things. But if somebody's paying for it, okay, take all that out of there, but there's still an energy output. There's still a mindset output, and there's still a time output. So you're going to have to factor all that stuff in. Now, if you've done that and you've listed off the pros and cons and you go, yeah, it makes sense for me to do all that. Or let's say you just want to have the experience and see how it goes, and you're like, yeah, I'm willing to drop $2,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 even, or $6,000. Who knows? It can be more than that depending on which fair you go to. But let's say you're willing to do that for the experience, to kind of test it out, get that on the resume, get it under your wing. You can talk about it, you can share the experience, you can meet people, you can put in some FaceTime with the people who are running the fair, and that's just worth it for you to have that experience. Wonderful. That's another thing for you to consider. I'm just kind of putting all of the information out there for you to think about. And you'd be surprised how many people forget these little details. They kind of go, oh yeah, it's just going to be, okay, the booth is this, but they don't factor in all the other stuff that goes into it.
So that's what I'm here for, bro. Not to be a Debbie Downer.
Now, there are some situations where it's a no-brainer. A lot of these really, high-priced art fairs, like the affordable art fair, I believe, I looked this up even, and I think that the average booth cost is like $13,600. Now, not many artists are going to be able to foot that bill. And I actually believe you have to be an art collective or a gallery to do that, to do certain fairs like the Affordable Art Fair or like Art Basel or the LA Art Show. If you come in and you're represented by a gallery, and the gallery's, footing the cost of the space because they're showing a lot of artists there, and for them it's just one of these things that's a great business strategy for them to show up, to make more collectors, to sell some work. And when it's like spaced out amongst like 10 other artists, they might break even, or at least, make some profit on that. And then they've also showed up to this fair and made future collectors and future connections. So if you're going with a gallery, I think that's a no-brainer, because you're not going to have to typically pay any money to do that. You just have to show up and be represented by this gallery. And that's an honor, to have a gallery represent you at these things. I've done the LA Art Show a couple of years with a gallery, and I just did Trist in the South Bay with my gallery Shockbox, with Mike Collins and, the wonderful people at Shockbox. And that's wonderful. It was like, well, okay, I just have to show up. Like maybe you have to pay for the cost of a ticket or tickets down the road. A lot of times you'll get free admission, or you'll get admission for like one night or 2 nights or something. But you might have to pay for a couple nights with people to come in. But really, you're not paying any money. And you're being represented by a gallery, which is an honor. So if it's one of those situations, to me, that's a no-brainer. You should just jump on that almost every time without exception, unless, of course, you're sick or you're in the hospital or you've got like a family emergency or something like that. But even those times, the gallery will typically still take your work, and you can just say, hey, look, I'm unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, but I'm honored to be a part of this, and they will still represent your work there. Even sometimes I've made the case for not showing up to certain events like this, because sometimes there is a little bit of a mystique to the artist not being there. And, you don't, like sometimes artists don't always have, like doctors don't have the best bedside manner. Some artists don't have the best wall side manner at an art fair. They don't really know how to talk to people. They don't really know how to sell their work. And sometimes they can be their own worst enemy when trying to entice somebody to look at their work and take it on as a collector. So, there is a case to be made for not showing up at these. Now, you'd have to talk to the gallery and the fair, maybe even in those circumstances, to be like, what's your policy here? Like, what do you want? Like, do you want me to be there? If they really want you to be there, then you got to be there. But if they're like, no, we got this, we'll handle it, and that's their jam, great. Then, maybe take some time off and let them do their work, and maybe you'll even sell some more. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But again, just throwing out all of these different scenarios, all these different aspects of it, just so you can kind of make your best decision. I will tell you right now, I am not the biggest art fair fan personally. I have done many small art fairs in the past. I have, some stuff that just costs you a few $100 to have a little booth, and then you show up, you load in your work, and you're there the whole time. Maybe it's a one-night event, maybe it's a two-night event. I've done a lot of those smaller art fairs. Like I said, I've done the LA Art Show a couple of years, Trist. I have thought about doing the other art fair, and I might at some point down the road. Obviously, right now, when I'm going through this health crisis, I'm not going to be taking part in that. But down the road, I may do the other art fair. I put the feelers out. I've talked to a lot of artists. It's been a mixed bag of people who've done really well and really love it, and people who haven't sold anything or haven't, broken even or even close to, but still had a good experience or didn't have a good experience. So it's a mixed bag, just like anything in life. So you can't really go into this and be like, I know exactly what's going to happen. You have to go in with an open mind. But I always just try to go in informed, and all the information I can kind of gather, and then I can make the best decision for me at that given point in my life and career. And so that's what, I hope that you will get from this, and you will think about all these elements and all these options when you're deciding whether or not you want to do an art fair. But like I said, for me, it hasn't been my top priority. I really do better in a gallery situation. I do better online. I do better with through the studio visits. That's kind of been my focus, where I make most of my sales. I have made sales at some of these fairs. They have not really, for the most part. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did do a pop-up art fair type situation at the Magic Castle in LA, which was amazing. It was a great experience. I've never been to the Magic Castle, and it was just cool to be there. But again, I didn't sell anything that night because it just wasn't the right venue for art and for my work, but it was also kind of a cool experience. Would I do it again? I'm not sure. So that's why I'm telling you this. I've had good experiences at the LA Art Show. I've had good experiences at some of these smaller art fairs where I've sold a couple pieces, and I've even broke even, or I've made a little bit of extra money, and I made some connections. It wasn't that much of an energy expenditure. It was just like one day, one night. It was local. So yeah, some of those have been good. I would say probably in my own experience, out of all the ones I've done, I would give it about a 60-40. 60 being I probably wouldn't do them or jump at the opportunity to do them again, and 40% I would. So not too bad. Kind of depends on where you're at in your career, what your money situation's like, what your health situation like, how much you want to get out there and load your resume, or how many people you want to talk to, how many connections you want to make. If you're a really social artist, if you want to kind of schmooze with the people who are putting on the art fair, or the galleries or collectors, blah, blah, blah. So once again, just giving you all the information, and you can make a decision that works best for you. There are some of these art fairs that are really prestigious that you don't want to miss, and most of those you're going to be represented by a gallery anyway. So you're obviously not going to want to miss Art Basel, or the LA Art Show, or for example, the Armory Show, or Frieze Art Fair New York, or, the Affordable Art Fair, even if you're represented by a good gallery, and, you can get exposure that you would have never gotten otherwise. So there you have it. That's just a quick little overview on my experience with art fairs, what I know about art fairs from talking to hundreds and hundreds of artists who've done them, and people who've actually worked behind the scenes doing art fairs. I've interviewed a lot of people who've done art fairs, and even people who've done the other art fair and stuff like that. So I do have a little bit of a perspective from the behind the scenes. And it's a mixed bag also, if the people are being honest. They don't say that each artist always covers their nut or even gets to break even. You know, they don't always say that every artist makes a profit. They're pretty honest about it. But some do. And you kind of get out of it what you put into it. And obviously it has to do with your talent and your skill level, of course, and it has to do with your ability to talk to people and showcase your work well and, you know, develop collectors. I'm going to leave it at that for today. Hopefully that gave you enough to kind of work with. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to me. There are a lot of ways to find this. You can give it a Goog, as Pete Holmes says. You can Google it and look up these art fairs and get some more information on them. A lot of them are pretty transparent about what you need to do. You do have to apply, obviously, first of all. And if you get accepted, or if you're with a gallery, you know, and they decide they want you, you're going to be in. But if you have to apply for it, there's an application process. And then once you're in, they will tell you all the ins and outs, all the details of how much it's going to cost, where it's going to be, what the dates are, what the proper etiquette is, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And like I said, I'm going to leave it at that for today. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. Hope you're taking care of everybody else. Stay creative. Reach out to me on social media. Let's get a dialogue going. Let's follow each other, support each other online as artists. That's what we should be doing. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode.
Totally, bro. We'll see you at the next art fair, man.
Hey, wait a minute. You said art wasn't fair. I thought you weren't going to be there.
Whoa. Hey, dude.
Remember, I just saw you in that office, and you told me art wasn't fair.
Oh, yeah. Right on, dude.
Wait. So which is it?
Listen up, little dude. Life is like a total mystery, man.
Okay.
Catch you later, little dude.
Wait, what?
That man went on to sell $400,000 of art at Art Basel, Miami. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Robbins. Thanks for listening to this program, okay?
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.